Today I'm going to show you how to make a temperature converter in Android Studio. This is one of the easiest apps to make that is somewhat useful. Once the screen opens, click on activity main.xml, wait for it to finish. It could take a while, especially on other computers. Once this is done, select the Hello World text view, which will be in the middle, and click delete. You want to get rid of it. Now, the first thing we're going to do is add the UI elements to the screen. This will include two buttons, which we're going to drag and drop. One button will perform the Celsius to Fahrenheit conversion, and the other button will perform the Fahrenheit to Celsius conversion. Next, we want a plain text where the user will input a temperature which our app will convert, and a text view where our app will output the converted temperature. Once you have all of those elements on the screen, go to the left corner where it says design and click on text, and you will get the text version of your UI. So this is the same thing as this, just an XML version. As you can see, you have your two buttons, you have your edit text, and you have your text view. The first thing we want to do is give all of the UI elements proper IDs so we can access them later. So this button will be our Celsius to Fahrenheit button. This button will perform the Fahrenheit to Celsius conversion. This edit text will serve as the user input. And this is the output text view. Once this is done, go back to design. The elements may have shifted around. Center them back. Just drag them. The text view may shrink completely, so you want to go to layout width and layout height, and maybe type 100 dp for width and 50 dp for height. Also make the text size at least 24 so we can see it later better. So now we have all of our UI elements on the screen with which the user will interact. Now we can go to main.activity.java, where we're going to write the code for the magic to happen. The first thing we're going to do is declare our on-screen elements. Now, these elements, these variables right here, are not yet connected to these elements right here. We are going to connect them right now. So what I did here is call this button right here and attach it to the button in our XML with this ID, which is this button right here. So this ID is the same as this ID. So this button is connected to our on-screen button, Celsius to Fahrenheit, and you want to do this for the rest of the elements as well. Now those variables are connected to our on-screen elements. And before I forget, since I didn't tell you to do this before, make sure you click on this one right here. It will set constraints, so otherwise when you run your app, everything will jump into one corner and your app will be unusable. So again, make sure this has been clicked and you can see those squiggly lines. They should be there. Now, once your app starts, this magic will happen. So this will be connected to this, and then you want you to allow the user to interact with the app. We're going to do this through a function called user input. Now, it is going to give you an error. It's going to be highlighted red because I haven't created this function yet. I will do that right now. Make sure you go outside of onCreate, but you stay inside the class. So this function is this function. And inside this function, we're going to set onClick listeners for the buttons, which basically means that we're going to tell the buttons what to do when they are clicked. And this is how this happens. So now, when the C2F button is clicked, whatever is inside right here will happen. Right now, we don't have anything. So if the button is clicked, nothing will happen. Same for the Fahrenheit to Celsius button. Now, the next step will be to create a converter class. To do this, click on App, Java, right-click on the folder which does not have test or Android test, select New, Java class, call it converter class, and press OK. This converter class will perform all of the conversions for us, so we don't have to worry about them in the main activity. This becomes especially important in larger projects. It is a way of breaking down the code and making it more readable. In this class, we are going to have two functions. One to perform the Celsius to Fahrenheit conversion and one to perform the Fahrenheit to Celsius conversion. Here is what they look like. I will explain the functions in just a moment. So this is our Celsius to Fahrenheit function. What do all those words mean? I know they can look confusing. Public just means that the function is public and it can be called from outside of the converter class. So we can call this function from the main activity. If it was private, we would not be able to call it from outside the converter class. Double is the return type of the C2F fn function, which just means that the output of the function is a double, which stands for a number with a decimal point in it. The input for the C2F function is also a double, a number with a decimal in it, which is the degrees in Celsius. So basically, we take the function, takes in a number, degrees Celsius, and it will return another number, which will be degrees Fahrenheit. This is the function to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit. We take our degrees Celsius, we multiply them times 1.8, and we have 32. This is degrees Fahrenheit. We do the same thing in our Fahrenheit to Celsius function, except backwards. So this is our whole converter class. It will perform the conversions for us. We can go back to the main activity. So first we are going to do the Celsius to Fahrenheit conversion when the C2F button is pressed. To do this, we need to create an instance of the converter class. We also need to take in the user input, which will be degrees Celsius. And it's going to equal the input edit text don't worry about what those things mean. It just means that it is taking the number as just plain text and it is converting it to a double or a number or an actual number. But don't worry about that for now. So once we have our degrees Celsius from the user input text box, we can get the degrees Fahrenheit by calling the converter class or this instance of it. So what we did here is we got the degrees Celsius, we inputted it into the converter class C to F function, and we get the degrees Fahrenheit. The last thing we have to do is set the output text view to the degrees Fahrenheit. And this is complete. So now when the user presses the Celsius to Fahrenheit button and whatever number is in the text box will get converted from Celsius to Fahrenheit. Now we can do the same thing over here. In fact, you can copy most of the code, but it's best practice to write it again, even if most of it is the same. If you notice, this is backwards. Here we have degrees Celsius first, here we're going to have degrees Fahrenheit first. And this completes our app. Now we can run it and see if it works. Again, this is a very rudimentary app, but it does perform a function. And it can be useful in some cases. So let's put in 100 degrees and convert 100 degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit. We can also convert 100 degrees Fahrenheit to Celsius. Zero degrees Celsius is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. 0 degrees Fahrenheit is negative 17.777 degrees Celsius. And that's it for now. I hope you guys learned something.